The gap between the rich and poor isn't just in their bank accounts, it's in their thinking. The poor see money as something to spend, the rich see it as something to plant. And here's the truth. Money works like a seed. If you plant it, protect it, and feed it, the harvest will be plenty. If you eat the seed, the field stays empty. Too many people consume everything they earn and wonder why their life never changes. The poor work for money, the rich make money work for them. The difference isn't luck, it's rules. Rules that tell you when to spend, when to save, and when to multiply. Stay with me, because today we'll cover exactly how to shift from earning a living to owning your future. Let me share something I've learned over the years, something that often gets overlooked when people talk about money and wealth. Before you even begin chasing money, before you think about making more or saving more, you have to define what money means to you. Now, that might sound simple or even obvious, but I promise you, it's one of the most powerful foundations you can lay for your financial journey. Money without purpose is like a ship without a rudder. It's directionless, drifting wherever the wind blows. I've seen many people earn a lot and yet find themselves broke, not just in their bank accounts, but in their hearts and minds. Why? Because they never took the time to ask themselves, what do I really want from this money? What does wealth mean to me? Is it freedom? Is it security? Is it the lifestyle that allows you to enjoy the finer things without worry? Or maybe it's legacy, the chance to leave something meaningful for your children, your family, or even your community. Your why is the compass that guides every decision you make with money. Without it, you'll find your hard-earned dollars slipping through your fingers like water. Let me give you a practical example from my own life. Early on, I was chasing money simply because it seemed like the natural thing to do. I wanted more, but I didn't have clarity on what that more was for. It wasn't until I sat down one quiet evening and wrote down my personal definition of wealth that things changed. I realized that to me, wealth wasn't just about how many dollars I could stack up. It was about having the freedom to live on my own terms, to help others, and to create a lasting impact. That clarity transformed how I managed my money. Suddenly, every choice had meaning. When I was tempted to spend on something flashy, I asked myself, does this align with my definition of wealth? More often than not, the answer was no. That simple habit saved me thousands and kept me on track toward real financial freedom. Here's a strategy you can use right now. Take 30 minutes, just half an hour, and find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Write down your personal definition of wealth. Don't think about what society says or what your friends want. Think deeply about what money means to you and your life. Is it peace of mind? Is it the ability to travel? Is it the security to provide for your family without stress? Maybe it's the chance to give back in a big way. Once you've written it down, place it somewhere you'll see it every day, on your bathroom mirror, your desk, or even as a note on your phone. This daily reminder will shape your mindset, your habits, and your decisions. Because the truth is, money follows clarity and purpose. When your financial actions align with your personal wealth philosophy, something remarkable happens. You become disciplined without feeling deprived. You save not because you have to, but because you want to build the future you've defined. You invest not out of fear, but with confidence in the vision you hold. Remember, chasing money without knowing why is like running on a treadmill. You expend energy but never really get anywhere. But when you define what money means to you, you step off that treadmill and begin walking a purposeful path. So, I challenge you today. Don't just want wealth. Know wealth. Write your own definition and let it guide you every day. Because the power to build real, lasting wealth starts not with your paycheck, but with your mind. That is the foundation of financial success. Build it strong, and everything else will follow. One of the most fundamental truths about building wealth that I've come to understand, and one that countless successful people have lived by, is this simple principle: live on less than you earn. It sounds so straightforward, yet it's something so many struggle to do. The philosophy behind it is clear and powerful. Wealth grows in the space between your income and your expenses. If you spend every penny you make, or worse, spend more than you earn, you will never build lasting wealth. I've often said that money is a tool, and like any tool, it works best when used wisely. The space between what comes in and what goes out, that's your margin, your breathing room, your opportunity. It's in that gap where you start planting seeds for your financial future. Without it, you're just living paycheck to paycheck, reacting to your circumstances instead of controlling them. I remember early in my career, when I was still finding my footing financially. I didn't earn a lot, but I made a decision that changed everything. I committed to living below my means, no matter how small the margin was. Even when a raise came, instead of upgrading my lifestyle right away, I put that extra money aside. It wasn't glamorous, but it was smart. That discipline created a gap between my earnings and my spending that I could invest, and those investments eventually grew into the freedom I have today. So, what's the strategy? It's simple. Create a gap between your income and your expenses and invest that gap. It doesn't matter if your income is modest or substantial. The key is to spend less than you make and to direct the difference into savings or investments that grow over time. This gap is your financial foundation, the space where wealth takes root and expands. Here's a practical step you can take today. Look at your spending from last week or last month and identify at least one non-essential expense. Maybe it's that daily coffee you buy, a subscription you rarely use, or an impulse purchase that wasn't really necessary. Cut that expense this week, and instead of spending that money, redirect it to your savings or investment account. It might seem small, but these small gaps add up over time. When you consistently save and invest the difference, you harness the power of compounding, the magic that turns small amounts into large fortunes over years. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep and grow. But beyond the numbers, living on less than you earn teaches you discipline and self-control. It shifts your mindset from instant gratification to long-term vision. And that shift is crucial because wealth isn't built in a day, it's built in the choices you make every day. I encourage you to get intentional with your money. Don't let your expenses run wild just because your income increases. Resist lifestyle inflation, the temptation to spend more as you earn more. Instead, use every raise, every bonus, every extra dollar as a chance to widen that gap, to invest more in your future freedom. Remember, wealth isn't about flashy cars or big houses. It's about control. It's about having the freedom to choose your path without being a slave to your finances. And that freedom grows from living below your means and investing the difference. Make this principle your daily practice. Create that gap, guard it fiercely, and watch how your wealth begins to grow quietly but surely. Because in that space lies your power to build the life you truly desire. That is the real secret to financial success. Live on less than you earn, and let your money work for you, not the other way around. Protecting your capital is one of the most crucial habits you can develop on your journey to financial freedom. I want you to imagine for a moment that your money is your life's blood. Because, in a very real sense, it is. Just as you protect your health by making wise choices about what you eat, how you move, and how you rest, you must protect your capital with the same vigilance. One careless decision, one reckless investment, can wipe out years of hard work and discipline in the blink of an eye. That is a lesson I learned early on, and one that I continue to emphasize. The philosophy behind this is simple yet profound. Your capital is the foundation of your wealth. Without that foundation, no amount of knowledge or ambition will help you rebuild what's lost. Wealth is not just about making money, it's about keeping it. Protecting your capital isn't just a matter of safety, it's a matter of survival. When you guard what you have carefully, you give your assets the chance to grow steadily and sustainably. The strategy here is clear. Only invest in what you fully understand. That's where most people go wrong. They get excited about a hot tip or a flashy opportunity and jump in without doing their homework. Investing without understanding is gambling, not building. When you understand the investment, you can anticipate its risks and rewards and make informed decisions that align with your goals and risk tolerance. Let me share a story from my own experience. Early in my career, I was approached with an opportunity that seemed promising but was outside my area of knowledge. Instead of rushing in, I took a step back and spent weeks studying the business, asking questions, and analyzing the risks. I wrote down exactly what I stood to gain and what I could lose. I also created an exit plan, knowing when and how I would pull out if things went south. That discipline saved me from losing a significant amount of money when the market shifted unexpectedly. Here's a practical step for you. Before you commit a single dollar to any investment, write down 3 things: the risk, the reward, and your exit plan. What can you lose if this doesn't work out? What's the potential gain? And if things don't go as planned, how will you get out without losing everything? This simple exercise forces you to slow down and think critically about your money, turning impulsive decisions into deliberate choices. Protecting your capital also means being patient. It's tempting to chase quick wins, but the wealth that lasts is built with careful, consistent decisions over time. The market will have ups and downs, but if you guard your foundation, your wealth will endure. Remember, the journey to financial freedom is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Guard your capital as if your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. The decisions you make today about protecting your money will determine whether you build a lasting legacy or start over again and again. Be vigilant, be wise, and let your capital work for you, safely and steadily. This discipline will ensure that the years of effort you put in are never erased by a single mistake. Guard your foundation, and your wealth will grow beyond what you imagine possible. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself on the path to financial success is the discipline of regular auditing. It's a simple idea, but its impact is profound. What gets measured improves. This is a timeless principle that applies to every area of life. But when it comes to your money, it can mean the difference between financial stagnation and remarkable growth. Think about it this way. If you never check your weight, you might not realize when you've been overeating or neglecting exercise. Similarly, if you never review your financial life, you won't see where your money is leaking or where opportunities lie hidden. Auditing your finances isn't just about keeping track of numbers, it's about gaining clarity and control over your future. The philosophy behind this is that knowledge is power. Without an accurate picture of your income, expenses, and asset growth, you're flying blind. You can't improve what you don't understand. By regularly assessing your financial health, you equip yourself to make better decisions, cut unnecessary costs, and redirect your resources towards what truly builds wealth. Now, the strategy is straightforward. Track everything. Know exactly how much money is coming in, where every penny goes, and how your assets, whether they're savings, investments, or properties, are growing. When you do this consistently, you start to see patterns. Maybe you're spending too much on small, unnoticed expenses that add up. Maybe one of your investments isn't performing as expected. Without this insight, these issues can quietly drain your resources. In my experience, setting a recurring monthly review date has been invaluable. Treat it like a meeting with your most important business partner, your future self. On that day, block out time to review your bank statements, track your spending, and assess your investments. Ask yourself, what worked this month? What didn't? What can I improve? This habit creates a rhythm of accountability and continuous improvement. I remember early on in my journey, I would often overlook small expenses that seemed insignificant at the time. But when I finally sat down each month and laid everything out, I was shocked at how those small leaks were eroding my progress. After cutting a few unnecessary costs and reallocating that money toward investments, I began to see tangible growth in my wealth. That clarity gave me confidence and momentum. This process isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each monthly audit is a chance to course correct, to celebrate small wins, and to stay aligned with your financial goals. It transforms money from a mysterious, stressful topic into something manageable and empowering. So, make this a priority. Set a recurring date in your calendar each month for a full financial review. Treat it as non-negotiable, just like paying your bills or showing up to work. The consistent feedback loop you create will sharpen your financial acumen, build your discipline, and ultimately accelerate your journey to wealth. Remember, wealth is not accidental. It's the result of intention, awareness, and action. And the simple act of auditing your finances regularly is one of the most powerful steps you can take to ensure your money works for you instead of slipping quietly through your fingers. Make the commitment today and watch how your financial life transforms. One of the most important truths on the journey to financial freedom is that learning must outpace earning. Money, by its nature, compounds, but so does knowledge. However, knowledge compounds first, creating the foundation for the money to grow. If you fail to learn faster than you earn, you risk becoming stagnant, outpaced by changes in the economy, technology, and opportunities. Think about this. Money will come and go, but the skills and wisdom you acquire will stay with you for life. The philosophy here is that knowledge is the seed from which all financial success grows. Without it, wealth is fragile and vulnerable. But with continuous learning, you build a mental capital that grows, multiplies, and creates endless new avenues for income. Strategy-wise, you must invest deliberately in yourself, especially in skills that increase your value. Whether it's learning sales, leadership, marketing, investing, or communication, these skills don't just improve your current earning power, they open doors to opportunities you didn't even know existed. When I was starting, I realized that my paycheck was limited by my knowledge, so I began to invest a portion of my income in books, courses, and mentors. It was one of the best decisions I ever made. Practically, you can start by committing at least 5% of your income to personal development. Buy a book each month, enroll in a course, or find a mentor who has walked the path before you. It might feel like a sacrifice at first, but it's a strategic move with incredible returns. In fact, I once chose to spend money on a seminar rather than on a new suit. That seminar taught me principles that multiplied my income tenfold. Remember, your financial future is shaped far more by what you know than by what you earn today. If you want your money to grow, first grow your mind. Learning faster than you earn creates a compounding effect that leads to lasting wealth. Make the decision today to become a lifelong student of success, and your bank account will follow the wisdom you acquire. True financial freedom is not found in the hours you work or the paycheck you receive from a job. It's discovered when your money begins to work for you, creating income streams that continue regardless of your daily effort. This is the real secret. Wealth is built not by spending your life trading time for dollars, but by investing profits back into assets that generate more income steadily and silently while you sleep. The philosophy here is simple yet profound. Freedom arrives when your income no longer depends on your presence. When your assets replace your job, you step into a realm where choices replace necessity, where you control your time instead of being controlled by work. This is the ultimate goal of wealth building. It's not just to make money, but to make money work so well that it frees you to live life on your own terms. The strategy involves reinvesting every profit you earn back into your portfolio, allowing the snowball effect of compound growth to take over. Instead of spending returns as soon as they arrive, roll them back into income-producing ventures, whether that's dividend-paying stocks, rental properties, or growing your business. Over time, these investments compound, increasing your passive income to the point where it matches, then surpasses your job income. On a practical level, begin by carefully tracking your passive income monthly. Watch it grow and celebrate small wins, but never let that money slip through your fingers too soon. When I first began, I made the mistake of spending profits before letting them accumulate. It delayed my freedom by years. Once I committed to reinvesting everything, the growth accelerated, and my assets started paying the bills instead of the other way around. So, if you want true freedom, let your money work harder than you do. Build assets that create income while you're away from work. Track those streams diligently. Reinvest profits consistently. This is how you graduate from working for money to having money work for you, and that's when your financial life transforms. Starting with what you have is one of the most important principles that many overlook when embarking on their journey to wealth. Too often, people delay taking action because they believe they need a large sum of money to begin investing or building wealth. But the truth is, the size of your beginning does not determine the size of your finish. Wealth is built through consistent habits and deliberate actions, not through waiting for the perfect moment or a fat bank account. When I first began, I didn't have much. I remember putting aside just small amounts here and there, barely enough to make a dent in my income. But the important thing was that I started. It was those small steps that laid the foundation for everything that followed. The philosophy behind starting where you are is simple but powerful. Take action now with whatever resources you have. You don't need to wait for a windfall, a raise, or some kind of perfect scenario. If you wait for those, you may wait forever. The wealth building journey begins with forming habits. Habits of saving, investing, learning, and making decisions that align with your goals. These habits compound over time, and the money will grow along with your discipline and mindset. The strategy is to focus on building the right habits before you worry about big numbers. That means creating a routine of putting aside money regularly, educating yourself about investing, and becoming comfortable with managing your finances. It means learning how to handle the money you have before you get more. When you start small, you learn discipline and patience. You understand the value of every dollar and how it can be leveraged to grow. For example, you might be someone who thinks, I can't start investing because I only have $50. But opening an investment account with that $50 is exactly the kind of practical step that moves you forward. That small action starts a process of engagement with your finances, makes you accountable to your goals, and teaches you about the markets or the opportunities out there. Over time, your small investment grows, and more importantly, you grow as an investor and as a person. In my own life, I didn't have the luxury of starting with thousands of dollars. I began by setting aside what little I could. It was the act of starting that mattered most. From those humble beginnings, I built a mindset and habits that eventually created real wealth. What made the difference was not the amount of money I started with, but the commitment to start, to learn, and to keep moving forward. Remember, the habit of starting small is what builds momentum. It's like planting a seed. No matter how tiny, if you care for it and nurture it daily, It will grow into a mighty tree. The financial journey is not a sprint, but a marathon. Starting where you are means you respect your present circumstances while working steadily toward your future. So take a moment today, look at what you have in your pocket or your bank account, and decide to take that first step. Open that investment account, set up a savings plan, or simply write down your financial goals. Small actions create big results when repeated consistently over time. There is no better time to start than now, and no amount too small to begin your journey. Wealth doesn't come from big leaps, but from many small steps taken with discipline and purpose. Start with what you have and watch your future unfold. Building assets that outlive you is a concept that moves wealth beyond the individual and into the realm of legacy. Wealth, after all, is not just about the numbers in your bank account today. It's about creating something lasting, something that will benefit those who come after you. The philosophy here is simple but profound. True wealth has purpose. It's not merely accumulated for personal comfort or fleeting pleasures. It's built to support a vision that extends beyond your lifetime. When you focus on legacy, you shift your perspective from temporary success to enduring impact. The idea of legacy wealth means crafting income streams and assets that continue to generate value long after you're gone. It's about building businesses, investments, intellectual property, or real estate holdings that don't just serve your needs today, but create opportunities for future generations. This approach demands intentionality and discipline because it requires thinking long-term in a world that often rewards short-term thinking. Many people focus solely on what they can consume or enjoy now, but the wealthy understand the power of creating something that lasts, a foundation upon which their children, grandchildren, and even communities can stand. Strategy is crucial. You must plan not only how to accumulate wealth, but also how to protect and transfer it. This means setting up legal and financial structures, trusts, wills, family foundations, that ensure your assets don't get lost or wasted when you're no longer here. But legacy is more than just money or property. It includes passing on principles, values, and wisdom. The financial knowledge you share, the habits you model, and the ethical standards you uphold become intangible assets far more valuable than dollars and cents. A practical step you can take today is to draft a comprehensive plan that addresses both your material assets and the principles you want to pass on. Start by listing your assets, investments, properties, businesses, and consider how they will be managed or divided after your time. Then, reflect on what lessons and values you want your heirs to inherit. Write these down clearly. This plan will serve as your roadmap to ensure that your wealth has purpose beyond your lifespan. I recall many stories of families who lost their fortunes because they failed to prepare properly. Wealth dissipated through poor planning, family disputes, or lack of education. But the families that thrive over generations are those who treat their wealth as a responsibility to be managed with care, vision, and love. They understand that money without a plan is a fleeting gift, but money with a legacy is a blessing that keeps on giving. So, begin today to think of your wealth not just as a personal achievement, but as a seed planted for the future. Invest not only in assets, but also in people and principles that will carry your legacy forward. That is the true measure of financial success. Wealth that lives on, empowers others, and stands the test of time. Build assets that outlive you, and you build a legacy that enriches generations. When it comes to building wealth and creating lasting success, one fundamental truth stands out. The size of your reward is directly linked to the size of the problem you solve. Wealth is not just about working harder or longer hours, it's about creating value. The philosophy behind this is straightforward. Your income, your influence, your financial freedom all increase in proportion to how effectively you solve significant problems. People don't pay for effort, they pay for solutions. If you want to elevate your financial life, you must elevate the problems you choose to tackle. In life and business, problems are everywhere. Some obvious, some hidden beneath the surface. The key is to develop the mindset of a problem solver. This requires curiosity, attentiveness, and a willingness to observe inefficiencies that others overlook or accept as normal. When you learn to see problems as opportunities, you shift from being a consumer of value to a creator of value. Whether it's a small glitch in a process, a service that isn't meeting customer needs, or a community challenge that's not being addressed, these inefficiencies are openings where you can step in, apply your skills, and create solutions that matter. The strategy here is to cultivate a habit of problem awareness. Don't wait for inspiration or a big breakthrough to start looking. Make it a daily practice. Develop the discipline of paying attention to the world around you and asking, what could be better? What frustrates people? What wastes time or resources? The problems you find, no matter how small they seem initially, can be seeds for profitable ventures or improvements that lead to financial gains. A practical step is to keep a journal or digital note where you record every problem you encounter in your daily life, workplace, or community. Write down the issue, who it affects, and any initial thoughts on how it might be solved. Over time, patterns will emerge, and you'll start to see areas where your talents or interests can make a real difference. This journal becomes a personal treasure map leading you to opportunities others miss. From my own experience, I've learned that the greatest wealth often comes not from following the crowd, but from solving problems that others avoid or can't see. Early in my career, I noticed a gap in how people approached personal development and financial education. By addressing that need through seminars, books, and coaching, I was able to build something that served thousands and created lasting value, not only financially, but in lives transformed. Remember, success is rarely about luck. It's about identifying meaningful problems and taking action to solve them. The richer the problem, the richer the reward. The more significant the challenge, the greater the opportunity to create wealth and freedom. Make it your mission today to see problems not as obstacles, but as stepping stones. Solve bigger problems, and the rewards you earn will grow in kind. In the journey toward building wealth and achieving financial freedom, one principle remains unwaveringly true. Success leaves clues. No one creates lasting wealth entirely on their own. Behind every prosperous individual stands a trail of lessons learned, habits formed, and decisions modeled after those who came before. The philosophy here is simple but profound. If you want to walk the path of wealth, start by following the footprints of those who have already traveled it successfully. Wealth builders have figured out what works, and those results are not random. They are the outcome of specific principles, daily habits and strategies that have stood the test of time. Instead of reinventing the wheel or wandering blindly, we gain a tremendous advantage by studying these proven examples closely. It's not about copying blindly, but about understanding the mindset, the routines, the decision-making frameworks, and the values that lead to financial success. The strategy is clear. Find a mentor, a book, a speaker, or even a person in your life whose results you deeply respect and trust. Immerse yourself in their teachings. Pay attention to how they think about money, time, and effort. Notice how they handle setbacks, make decisions, and prioritize their goals. This focus study sharpens your own ability to think and act like a wealth builder, turning abstract concepts into practical, actionable insights. Practical steps matter most. Commit to studying one mentor or source for a minimum of 90 days. Whether it's reading their books daily, listening to their speeches, or following their guidance through videos or personal mentorship, this regular exposure rewires your thinking. Over those 90 days, the ideas you absorb begin to influence your choices, habits, and actions in ways that move you closer to your financial goals. Reflecting on my own life, I remember when I was a young man with limited resources but immense ambition. I didn't have much money or connections, but I had access to books and seminars by great thinkers. By consistently studying their principles and applying what resonated with me, I transformed my mindset and habits. It wasn't overnight success, but it was steady progress, fueled by the wisdom of others. The bottom line is this: wealth creation isn't magic. It's a process. By modeling those who have succeeded, you fast-track your own journey and avoid many costly mistakes. You learn the language of money and success in a way that feels natural and manageable. So today, choose your mentor wisely and commit yourself to learning deeply and consistently. Follow their steps, adapt their lessons, and watch how your path to wealth becomes clearer, more confident, and ultimately more rewarding. Success truly leaves clues. Will you be wise enough to follow them? Financial discipline is much like training a muscle. It's not about one big intense effort, but about consistent, repeated actions over time that build strength and resilience. The philosophy behind this is straightforward. Consistency beats intensity every single time. When it comes to wealth building, it's not about occasional bursts of willpower or grand gestures that make headlines, but about small, steady choices, repeated daily, that carve out the path to financial freedom. Think about how a bodybuilder builds muscle. They don't lift the heaviest weight once and expect to be strong. Instead, they start with manageable weights and gradually increase the load as their muscles adapt. Similarly, your financial discipline strengthens when you start small and steadily build those habits into a natural part of your routine. The strategy here is to begin with achievable challenges that won't overwhelm you but will still make a difference. For example, you might start by skipping just one unnecessary indulgence each week. It could be a coffee from a cafe, an impulse snack, or a small entertainment expense. The key is to redirect that money toward your savings or investments. Over time, these small sacrifices accumulate into substantial sums that grow and multiply. In my own journey, I recall that discipline didn't come from trying to overhaul everything at once. It was about making a single, intentional decision to hold back on spending here and there. Each time I chose to save rather than splurge, I was reinforcing my financial muscle. The savings seemed small at first, but as the weeks passed, they added up to a meaningful cushion that I could invest or use as a foundation for bigger financial moves. One of the most important aspects of this approach is its sustainability. When you start small, you build confidence and momentum. The habit becomes easier, and you find yourself naturally looking for other ways to exercise your financial discipline. Before long, what was once a challenge becomes second nature, like brushing your teeth or making your bed every morning. Another advantage is that this method helps you avoid burnout. Trying to drastically change your spending overnight can lead to frustration and failure. But by taking gradual steps, you develop patience and a long-term mindset, which are essential to wealth building. It's a marathon, not a sprint. The practical step, then, is clear. This week, identify one small indulgence you can skip, something that doesn't detract from your quality of life but can add to your financial future. Take the money you would have spent and move it into a savings or investment account. Track how much you're saving and watch that number grow. Each time you resist the urge to spend unnecessarily, you're flexing your financial muscle and making it stronger. Remember, wealth is not an event, but a habit. By treating financial discipline like a muscle and building it with small, consistent actions, you lay the foundation for lasting freedom. Keep at it, and soon the strength you've built will carry you through bigger challenges and greater opportunities. Discipline, after all, is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Strengthen that bridge daily. They say you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This truth applies especially when it comes to money and wealth. If your circle is filled with those who spend impulsively, avoid planning, or lack financial discipline, it's hard to develop habits that lead to lasting wealth. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with financially disciplined people, those who save diligently, invest wisely, and build assets, you naturally absorb their mindset and behaviors. This idea isn't just motivational fluff. It's rooted in human psychology. We mirror the beliefs and actions of those around us because we seek acceptance and belonging. When your peers talk about budgets, investment opportunities, and financial goals, it creates a powerful environment that reinforces your own commitment to discipline. You're not just inspired by their success. You're held accountable by the group's shared values and habits. The strategy then is clear. Consciously choose to spend time with those who reflect the financial discipline and ambition you aspire to. Seek out investors, savers, entrepreneurs, and wealth builders. Their stories, struggles, and successes become your learning ground. This environment challenges you to raise your standards and expands your vision of what's possible. In my own experience, early on, I realized the importance of my financial associations. I started attending meetings and seminars where successful people gathered, not just to listen, but to connect. That exposure transformed my thinking. It wasn't magic. It was the natural result of being immersed in a culture of growth and responsibility. I began to emulate their language, their priorities, and ultimately, their actions. What once felt like distant goals became tangible because I saw people living those principles every day. You don't have to look far to find these circles. Whether it's local investment clubs, online forums, mastermind groups, or even social media communities focused on financial education. The practical step is simple. This month, commit to attending at least one local or virtual wealth building group. Engage with the conversations. Ask questions, and connect authentically. Make it a habit to learn from others and share your journey as well. Over time, you'll notice your mindset shifting. You'll think differently about money. You'll spot opportunities where before you saw risks or obstacles. Your discipline will be reinforced because it's no longer a solo journey. It's part of a collective pursuit of financial freedom. The key is intentionality. Don't just passively absorb the habits of the crowd. Choose your company wisely. Wealth building is as much about your environment as it is about your choices. When you align yourself with people who are serious about financial discipline, you build a support system that propels you forward. Remember, success is contagious. Surround yourself with those who are committed to growth, and you'll find yourself growing faster than you ever imagined. Choose your circle carefully because it will shape not just your wealth, but your life. Seek out those who lift you higher and let their discipline inspire your own. Money, like energy, is meant to flow with purpose. When dollars sit idle, they lose their power. The philosophy here is simple but profound. Every dollar you earn deserves a specific job. If you don't assign roles to your money, it's easy for it to slip away on things that don't build your future. Just as a captain gives orders to each crew member on a ship, you must give instructions to each dollar you earn. This mindset transforms money from a passive resource into an active partner in your journey to wealth. The strategy behind this is to divide your income into clear categories: living expenses, investing, learning, and giving. Living expenses cover your daily needs: food, shelter, utilities, and essentials. Investing is the portion you put to work, growing your wealth through stocks, real estate, businesses, or other assets. Learning is an often overlooked category but is vital for growth. It's the money you spend on books, courses, mentors, anything that increases your knowledge and skills. Giving is the act of sharing, whether through charity, community support, or helping others, which creates a flow of abundance beyond yourself. By setting up this system, you control your money instead of letting it control you. It also creates a balanced approach to wealth. You're not just surviving or hoarding, but building, growing, and contributing. Each dollar is a soldier with a mission marching toward your financial freedom. Practically, this means automating your money's flow. When you get paid, set up automatic transfers that move specific percentages into different accounts. For example, 50% to living expenses, 20% to investing, 10% to learning, and 10% to giving. Adjust these percentages based on your goals, but the key is to automate the process so you don't have to rely on willpower every month. I recall when I first applied this system in my own life. Instead of waiting to see what was left at the end of the month, I decided my money's job before I even received it. This simple discipline changed everything. I no longer felt guilty investing or giving because those amounts were already accounted for, just like paying a bill. It took the emotion out of spending decisions and brought clarity and control. Automation also protects you from temptation. When funds for investing or giving are already moved out of your checking account, you're less likely to spend impulsively. Your financial goals stay on track, quietly but steadily building momentum. Remember, wealth is built $1 at a time, but only when each dollar is assigned a clear purpose. When you create a money allocation system, you stop guessing and start growing. Your dollars work smarter, not harder, and you find peace in knowing your money supports your bigger life goals. Take control of your money's mission. Put a system in place today that makes every dollar accountable, and watch your financial life transform from chaos to order, from stress to strategy. Your future self will thank you for this disciplined act. The greatest asset you possess is not your money, but your ability to earn more. The philosophy here is clear. Your income is directly linked to the value you bring to the marketplace. The more valuable your skills, the higher your earning potential. If you want to increase your wealth, you must increase your worth. This means constantly upgrading your skills, especially those that generate income and influence others. The strategy focuses on mastering high-income skills that are always in demand: sales, leadership, marketing, communication, negotiation, and financial literacy. These skills empower you to create opportunities, lead teams, influence decisions, and solve problems that others cannot. They are transferable across industries and economic cycles, making you resilient and adaptable. One practical step is to dedicate 1 hour every day to skill improvement. This isn't about occasional study or random reading, but a disciplined habit that compounds over time. It could be reading books by experts, attending webinars, practicing communication, or enrolling in courses that sharpen your expertise. The key is consistency and focus. I remember early in my career, my income didn't improve until I invested heavily in learning how to sell, not just products, but ideas and myself. Once I mastered that, doors opened. I learned that selling is less about pushing and more about understanding others and providing value. Leadership came next, as wealth is rarely built alone. The ability to inspire and organize others multiplies your results. Skill building also creates freedom. When you have marketable, high-value abilities, you're less dependent on a single paycheck and more in control of your destiny. You can create multiple income streams, negotiate better deals, and take on roles that pay what you're truly worth. Remember, time invested in learning today becomes the capital that earns tomorrow. If you want wealth that grows beyond your current limits, focus first on becoming the person who deserves it. Upgrade your earning skills daily, and your financial life will follow naturally. Earning a paycheck puts food on the table and a roof over your head. But if you want true financial freedom, you must move beyond just making money. You need to make money work for you. The philosophy behind this is simple yet profound. Wages buy you time and survival, but profits create freedom and opportunity. A steady income alone won't build lasting wealth. It's what you do with that income, how you put it to work, that determines your financial future. The strategy is to deliberately allocate a portion of your earnings toward ventures that generate profits without your constant involvement. This means investing in assets like stocks, real estate, businesses, or intellectual property that produce income streams separate from your day job. The goal is to shift from trading time for money to having your money work for you, creating financial leverage and compounding growth. A practical step to implement this is to commit at least 20% of your income toward investments or starting a side business. This isn't about spending all your money, but about developing a discipline to pay yourself first. I recall when I first began, I set a rule that a fifth of everything I earned would be put into ventures that could grow independently of my labor. It wasn't easy at first, especially when expenses were high, but over time, this habit made a profound difference. By putting money into profit-producing assets, you create a system where your income grows even while you sleep, travel, or focus on other priorities. It's the difference between being trapped in the daily grind and building a life with options, control, and freedom. Remember, making money is just the start. The true wealth builder is someone who understands how to make that money work tirelessly on their behalf. Start small, be consistent, and watch how your profits begin to multiply your opportunities and your freedom. There's a principle in wealth that many overlook, yet it holds tremendous power: giving to grow. It may seem counterintuitive at first. Why would you part with your hard-earned money when building wealth is your goal? But the philosophy here is clear. Generosity keeps wealth flowing. When you give thoughtfully and consistently, you open channels of abundance, both materially and spiritually, that invite more success into your life. Giving is not just charity. It's a strategic way to cultivate a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. When you commit a portion of your income to causes, people, or projects that matter, you create a cycle where wealth is not merely accumulated but multiplied. This generosity strengthens relationships, builds goodwill, and often leads to unexpected opportunities. The strategy is simple yet profound. Decide on a percentage of your income to give regularly and treat it as a non-negotiable part of your financial plan. It could be 5%, 10%, or whatever you can sustain. What matters is consistency and intention. This disciplined giving not only benefits others, but rewires your brain to focus on contribution over consumption, turning your financial journey into a legacy. Practically, start by setting this giving percentage today. Automate it if possible, so it happens without question. I remember early in my career, when finances were tight, I still committed to giving a small percentage. It wasn't about the amount, but the habit and the heart behind it. Over time, this practice didn't diminish my wealth. It expanded it by opening doors I didn't anticipate. Giving also anchors your financial goals in a deeper purpose, reminding you that wealth is not just for self-enjoyment, but for making a meaningful impact. So, embrace giving as part of your wealth-building blueprint. It keeps the flow alive, nurtures your spirit, and ultimately helps you live richer, not just in money, but in life. As we come to the close of this conversation, I want you to remember one simple truth. Wealth is not an accident. It is the result of deliberate choices, consistent habits, and a mindset that values freedom, growth, and contribution. Too many people chase money without a clear purpose. and they end up lost in a cycle of spending and stress. But those who define their own version of wealth, who train their discipline daily, and who commit to learning and growing will find themselves on a different path, a path toward true financial freedom. You have within you the power to change your story. It doesn't matter where you start or how much you have right now. What matters is what you decide to do today and tomorrow and the day after. Small steps taken consistently build mountains of success over time. Begin by defining what money means to you, not just in dollars, but in the freedom and legacy it can provide. Live below your means, but never below your vision. Protect your capital fiercely and invest wisely. Learn faster than you earn and reinvest every profit until your assets replace your income. I challenge you to be intentional. Audit your habits monthly. Treat financial discipline like a muscle you strengthen every day. And surround yourself with people who lift you higher. Give generously, not out of obligation, but as a way to keep your abundance flowing and your purpose alive. Make compounding your silent partner and patience your best friend. Now is the time to act. Not someday, not when you feel ready, but now. Take control of your financial future by making one small, smart choice today. Open that investment account, save that extra dollar, read that book, say no to that unnecessary purchase. Build your wealth with a clear plan, consistent action, and an open heart. Remember, wealth is more than money. It's the freedom to live on your terms, the ability to impact others, and the legacy you leave behind. Choose discipline over desire, long-term vision over instant gratification, and action over hesitation. Your future is waiting. Step forward boldly and make the choices that will create the life you deserve. The journey begins with you.